بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله إن الله بما تعملون بصير.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة لأهل التقوى واليقين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد، فقد قال الحكيم في كتابه الكريم: إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر. In this session, I'm going to acquaint you with the rules regarding mosque. In today's world and in today's life, we have beautiful mosques, decorated mosques here and there in our cities and towns and even in our villages. The mosques are eye-catching in terms of their artistic works and in terms of their beauty and attraction that they have. They look very much appealing. But unfortunately, there are few people who go to the mosque to offer their prayers. There are only old people who enter the mosque and offer their prayers and listen to the lectures and engage in offering prayers. The youngsters, the youth, do not go to the mosques very often. Sometimes, of course, they do go, but a lot of people do not offer their prayers in the mosques, and the mosques remain empty. It has been said in the tradition that a person who offers his prayers at home while there is a mosque near his house, his prayer is not counted as prayer. Though he is relieved of the obligation to offer his prayers, but it is highly recommended for such a person who is living in the neighborhood of a mosque and who is living adjacent to a mosque to offer his prayers at home and not to go to the mosque. It is highly recommended that we should visit the mosque and to fill the mosque and to gather there and to listen to the lectures of the prayer leader or anyone who is supposed to speak or to give a religious lecture. The mosque is actually a place for worship. It's not a place for engaging in discussions regarding political issues, regarding worldly issues, or engaging in reciting poems that are not religiously instructive. I will mention the rules one by one. Now, to begin with the rules regarding mosque or regarding masjid, I have to tell you that the first rule that has been mentioned in the treatises of the religious authorities is this: that it is haram to make a mosque impure. It's haram to make the carpet of a mosque, the inner walls of a mosque, the doors and windows of a mosque impure. And it is makruh also to make impure the outer walls of a mosque. It's also makruh to defecate and also to urinate in the vicinity of a mosque. Having said that, now if someone has made a mosque impure, especially the carpets on which people offer their prayers, it is necessary for the person who has made the carpet impure to make it clean, to purify it. And if he is a child and cannot do that, other people should take action. They should purify the mosque. And it is the duty of all those people who are in the mosque and who come to know that the mosque has been made impure. It is a duty of everyone to purify the mosque, to make it clean. And of course, if one person takes action and purifies the mosque, other people are relieved of the obligation. No one is no longer under the obligation to clean and to purify the mosque, because the mosque has already been cleaned, and there is, or maybe there is a person who is ready to clean the mosque. This is the number one issue. And of course, if a mosque has been made impure and one is supposed to dig into the mosque or to demolish it, and it's not possible to wash it without demolishing or without digging it, then it's necessary to dig that mosque and to demolish that mosque so that the mosque is made purified and so that the mosque is made clean. And so far as it is possible to clean the mosque without digging and without demolishing, then there is no problem. And that mosque has to be washed and made clean without digging or without demolishing. And if a mosque has been demolished or it has been dug, it is necessary to repair the mosque. It is necessary to fill the hole or the empty place so that the mosque is returned to its original position, to it is pure and perfect position.
يا دافع الخطوب يا جابر المعطوف يا من هو مندوبي فعفوك مطلوبي يا دافع الخطوب يا جابر المعطوف يا من هو مندوبي فعفوك مطلوبي يا ستار العيوب يا غفار الذنوب يا ستار العيوب يا غفار الذنوب يا علام الغيوب يا كشاف الكروب.
If a mosque is usurped and the houses, or maybe a house is built on the usurped mosque, again it is not permissible to purify that place, because that place remains a mosque even if that place has been usurped by people. Even if a house has been built by someone, by a usurper on it, he is living in there, but again it is not permissible to make that place impure. This has to be clearly understood. As far as the holy shrines are concerned, the same position is applicable to them. It's not permissible to make those places impure. And it's also not allowed, according to many religious authorities, to make impure the precincts of the holy shrines. And if someone has made them impure, it is necessary to take action to purify the precincts, so that if people come and offer their prayers are not affected as a result of the impurity being there. And of course, if the mat of a mosque becomes impure, it should be made pure, as I mentioned. And if people do not use that place, or if the sanctity, if there is a place in a mosque, of course, in the outer part of the mosque which people do not use, then it is not necessary for people to wash it or to make it clean or to purify it. The obligatory precaution is that a mosque should not be adorned with gold, and the recommended precaution is that it should not be adorned with pictures of men and animals. You might know it very well that offering prayers in a room, irrespective of whether it is a mosque or it is your own house, offering prayers in such a place is makruh. It is abominable to offer your prayers in a room where there is a picture of a human being or a picture of an animal. It does not make any difference. And it also does not make any difference whether the picture is in front of you or behind you, or it is on the left side or on the right side. The offering prayer in such a place is makruh. And the same is true when there are pictures on the walls of a mosque. Those pictures have to be removed so that the prayers are not affected. We see that there are pictures in the mosques of some countries. I have been to some countries. There are pictures of some people, of some scholars on the walls of those mosques. It has to be clarified, it has to be understood that offering prayers in such a mosque with pictures on those walls is abominable, it is undesirable, it is makruh. Another rule regarding a mosque is that even if a mosque is ruined, it has been destroyed, it is not permissible to sell it or to make it a part of the property of someone or a part of a road. A mosque is an endowed place, which, first of all, it's not permissible to make any kind of changes to a mosque. If the mosque is in a good position, no one has the right to unnecessarily change the mosque or to have any kind of desecration, independent desecration on the mosque. A mosque has to be used for worshipping, and it continues to be used for worshipping. No one has the right to dedicate it to someone else or to use it for any other purpose or to make it part of a building which is not for a mosque, or to make it part of a property or to use it for roads. That is not allowed. The same is true with the properties of a mosque. It's not permissible to sell the properties or the books or anything valuable. If a mosque has any property, the properties of the mosque should not be sold, should not be given to anyone else. Of course, if that mosque does not need those property or those things, then they can be given to another mosque so that They may be used by the mu'minin, by the believers, but they cannot be given to an individual to be used for personal benefits, for personal use. A mosque might have carpets, might have books, might have other properties. All those properties should be used exclusively and principally for the same mosque. If that mosque no longer needs those things, then they can be given by the custodian, by the person who is taking care and who is responsible for taking care of the mosque and its properties. He can give those properties to another mosque. Of course, it's haram to sell the doors, windows, and all these things belonging to a mosque to another person. Building a mosque and renovating a mosque, if it has been dilapidated, is mustahab. If there is a mosque in shambles, then it is very essential for the mu'mineen, for Muslims, to take action either to rebuild that mosque or to renovate it so that that mosque can be used by people, because a dilapidated mosque is dangerous to use, and it is sometimes not possible to use such a mosque. So it has to be renovated, and renovating or rebuilding that mosque is mustahab. It is highly recommended. And of course, another rule regarding mosque is when a person wants to enter a mosque, it is highly recommended that he should offer 2 rakats of prayer as a form of greeting, as a way of respect, showing respect to that mosque. And if a person offers 2 rakats of qada prayer, that will be sufficient. It's not necessary to offer 2 rakats of mustahab prayer. If a person has got 2 rakats of qada or missed prayers, he can offer those 2 rakats, and that will be sufficient as a way of showing respect to the mosque.
ناجيتك يا رحمن ودعوتك يا ديان يا خالق الإنسان الله 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 يا خالق الإنسان الله الله الله.
Dear brothers and sisters, there are some acts which are makruh, which are abominable, and it's very important to know those acts. According to religious authorities, as they have mentioned in their risala, it is makruh to sleep in a mosque. Some people naively and wrongly believe that it's haram to sleep in a mosque. Of course, it's not haram, it is makruh. It's abominable to sleep in a mosque. Of course, in the state of helplessness, when a person has no other place to sleep, it will not be makruh. You can sleep in the mosque when you have no other place to go or to sleep. And it's also makruh to talk about worldly matters when you are sitting in a mosque, to engage in such discussion, to talk about money, about assets, about such and such issues. It's makruh, because the mosque, as I mentioned in the beginning, is dedicated for prayers, it's dedicated for prostration, for remembrance, for zikr of God, and for worshipping of Allah. And it is also makruh to recite poem, to engage in reciting poetry, if it is not religiously instructive, it is not religiously educative. Of course, if poems are educative, if poems are instructive, just as there are people who compose poems about religious matters, about the Imams, and there are poems which remind you of God, then there's no objection and no problem in reciting those poems. But if there are poems which are not in any way educative, instructive religiously, then it is makruh to recite them. And it is also makruh to spit or to throw phlegm or mucus from the nose in a mosque. Although, because as I said, there are some special essential impure things. Those impure things cannot be thrown into a mosque. A person cannot urinate, a person cannot defecate in a mosque. It's haram because this act is essentially forbidden. And making a mosque impure is forbidden. But spitting, because the spitting, the saliva is not impure, the mucus is not impure. But throwing these things from the nose into the mosque is abominable. It is undesirable. It's also makruh to shout and to raise one's voice except for adhan. If someone is reciting, giving adhan, there is no objection to raising one's voice. But it is makruh to unnecessarily raise one's voice because it will disturb other people and it will be a cause of inconvenience for people who are offering prayers in a mosque. And it is also makruh to allow an innocent person to enter a mosque, or a child who is not distinguishing, who is not discerning, who does not and who cannot discern between good and between bad. If he is going to make the mosque impure, it is makruh to take that child to a mosque. And it's also makruh to take an innocent or to allow an innocent person to enter a mosque, because it's very much likely that he might create inconvenience for the people who are offering prayers in a mosque. And the last issue in connection with the mosque is for a person who wants to go to a mosque and who wants to enter a mosque to eat certain things which make his mouth smell foul. For example, eating garlic, eating onions, and eating anything which smells foul or which gives a foul smell is makruh. It's not haram. But for example, if a person eats garlic and he goes into a mosque, many people will be at inconvenience. Many people will feel difficulty sitting in the mosque and smelling the bad odor and the bad smell. So it's very much recommended to eat things that, or to go to a mosque when you have not eaten garlic or when you have not eaten onion. These are some of the rules regarding entering, regarding using a mosque, and regarding selling mosques and property or the belongings of a mosque. And of course there are other rules, other issues in connection with the mosque. These issues have to be understood, have to be learned from the treatises of the religious authorities, the scholars, and the fuqaha and mujtahideen. And I, as far as I am concerned, I have been able only to mention a few of the Islamic laws. For more details, you're always advised to refer to the books of Islamic laws authored by the religious authorities. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا
يا ربنا
واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا